RC1 talked about inflation. This was a fairly straightforward RC passage. It talked about how inflation is high, it has been high, but it's likely to decrease. However, the author says that, okay, while it is likely to decrease over the next few months, that shouldn't mean that we convince ourselves that our problems are over, the inflation problem is over. Now, however, then the author gives reasons as to why it is going to come down. Okay, so because of the oil market, it was overshot till now. Now the price of gasoline is going to come down, right? Then also he talks about something called a bullwhip effect, that the bullwhip effect had caused supply chain disruptions because of which the prices were higher. But now those supply chain disruptions have eased, right? And the bullwhip effect is in a way going back, flicking back. Right. So he talks about these reasons as to why inflation is going to decrease in the coming few months, at the same time maintaining that that does not mean that our inflation problems are over. This is what the RC passage was about, fairly straightforward. Coming to question 2. Which one of the following best explains the bullwhip effect with respect to the inflation as mentioned in the passage? Okay, so the author in a paragraph clearly explains what the bullwhip effect means in the context of inflation. Let's read that. That will give us an idea. Bullwhip effect probably played a significant role in the bottlenecks that have bedeviled the economy since we emerged from the pandemic recession. Consumers unable or unwilling to consume face-to-face services bought lots of manufactured goods instead. So what did consumers do? They bought lots of manufactured goods. So the demand for these goods will increase. And in some cases, they overbought out of fear that the goods wouldn't be available. So they overbought. Wholesalers and shippers in turn rushed to buy to be able to meet consumer demand. So they wanted to increase the supply. And suddenly there weren't enough shipping containers or port capacity, sending costs soaring. Right. So this is what had happened. The author, in fact, gives another example to us. See, yes, so this example very clearly explains this. Suppose, to take a non-random example, that a shift to working from home, then COVID pandemic leads to increased purchases of supermarket toilet papers, right? So again, the demand increases. Consumers seeing a shortage rush to stock up. Supermarkets trying to meet the demand, overorder. So again, there is a desire to increase the supply, because of which the supermarkets also overorder. Distributors who supply the supermarkets overorder even more, and suddenly there are no rolls to be had. So basically, there was an increase in demand, because of which there is an increase to there is a desire to increase the supply. Right? This is what is happening, and ultimately, this is resulting in a shortage. So I think we have our answer with us. Let's have a look. Supply of a product exceeding, no, it's not exceeding its demand, bringing the prices down. This goes against the entire passage. If this were the case, then inflation should not have been high. Okay. Increasing demand leads to larger supply, which in turn leads to supply chain bottlenecks. See, if increasing demand leads to larger supply, if the supermarkets are indeed able to supply, they're able to meet this increased demand, in that case, there will be no supply chain bottlenecks. Okay, so there is a desire for higher supply, but because of supply chain constraints, there are supply chain bottlenecks, right? So this actually restricts the increase in supply. This is what happens and is labeled as the bullwhip effect by the author. So C is our answer. D, a house of cards in which the bottom card falls out, bringing the whole house down. No, actually, first of all, this is vague. It does not talk about demand and supply. Secondly, the bottom card ideally would be the producer, right? The one at the bottom. The consumer usually would be the one who is reached later on, right? So the bottom card is not falling out first, actually. It's the demand that is increasing. It starts from here and tries to go till there. So anyway, this analogy is a flawed analogy, plus it's vague. So eliminated. C is our answer here. Again, if you read those two instances that I just read out for you, in fact, even if you had read this, just the first example, the non-random example of toilet papers, then you could have attempted this easily. Okay? Easy.